The month of May is brought to you by Peak. Peak original equipment technology is formulated with the same corrosion inhibiting technology that protected your vehicle when it left the factory. It provides excellent protection against rust and corrosion to all cooling system metals, including aluminum, and is fully compatible with other extended life coolants. With its line of premium 50/50 pre-diluted and concentrated coolant specifically designed to match the technology and color requirements of your specific vehicle, and color cues on the packaging and label in a list of covered vehicles make it easy to identify the right match for your vehicle. Find out more information about all Peak antifreeze and coolants at peakauto.com. And Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, the first dynamic competition for drag racing fans. Go to dragracebracketbonanza.com. It's free. When the fields are set on Saturday night at the Route 66 Nationals presented by Peak, pick all your round-by-round winners in all 4 pro categories. Sign up at dragracebracketbonanza.com at the link below. Day 1 of the Indianapolis 500 is officially in the books. They just called off practice for the rest of the day here on the Tuesday opening day session for the 100 days running of the Indianapolis 500. We got about maybe 20 minutes, I would say, of on-track action today. There's rain forecasted already, so we were very less optimistic, but to my surprise, when we woke up today, it was dry outside. It had not rained. Apparently it had sprinkled a little bit in the morning, but not enough to really warrant any concern. Sent cars out, 20 minutes. Then it started raining, it got heavier, now it's lighter. This is pretty much exactly the same conditions I experienced back during the open test about a month ago. But, I mean, look at the radar. It's literally just, the storms moved down south, and then it just had this curl effect where it shot upwards. So, not really much I could really say about any of the on-track action here today. You saw maybe a little bit of practice. Takuma Sato said they attempted to do a qualifying sim, but didn't really get much of anywhere. Kevin, from what you saw out over in the Turn 1 area of the Speedway, take us through what you saw in those opening 20 minutes of really install laps, if anything.
Well, I can tell you this, the few flying laps that we did see really didn't amount to much because there was a lot of lifting going into Turn 1. There was a southwesterly wind during that 20 minutes that they were actually running, which is blowing towards the Turn 1 wall. So there was a lot of lifting in there and a lot of aborting any attempt at a run after that and coming into the pits. Some teams didn't even really get a chance to tow out into the pit lane. Marcus Armstrong's car presented, they pushed into its pit box, and then they turned around and took it right back because the caution flag was showing for weather on the track. So that was kind of the theme of the day. Other than that, splish splash.
Splish splash, we're taking a bath, and that's quite literally what everybody here is doing. You can already see a lot of teams are packing up, tires are being moved back. The one big thing about this too is because of the lack of on-track action, there's a lot of spare tires going on. We talked with Santino Ferucci during the media availability that they did earlier today, and he talked about the fact that they had a lot of extra tires that they're going to be having throughout the extra month of May, or well, the week of May, I should say, heading into qualifying. You're going to have maybe one day of on-track action because tomorrow's scheduled for rain all the way up until about 6 o'clock. Hey, how about that? It's going to stop raining as soon as practice is over, but then we're going to be pretty much, I think, solidly open to have practice. It stops raining around 2 p.m., and then it's going to be open for the rest of the day, but that's really the only day that we're going to see cars on track possibly is in 48 hours from now.
So they actually did move up tomorrow's schedule by 2 hours, so technically they're going to be starting at 10 a.m. tomorrow, but here's the thing. It doesn't look optimistic because what you see behind us, which is a wet racetrack, is set to continue to be a wet racetrack. And this has been kind of the theme that we've kind of been keeping an eye on ever since the end of the Grand Prix. And the problem is now the rain forecast has shifted to today, tomorrow, some on Thursday. Well,
so Thursday morning is what I saw. I just checked the weather before we came out here, and it's scheduled for that. And then Friday it's going to be downpouring again.
And then also the rain forecast is now moved over into Saturday as well, which is day 1 of qualifying. So, yeah, very limited track access. I think this is going to be a storyline that's going to be playing out quite a bit during the next couple of days for sure, is the lack of track time. Because remember, we did lose day 1 of the open test as well.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons they moved practice up to try and account for that. Now they're doing it again tomorrow. Like, at this point, a lot of teams are going to be struggling. We heard Will Power during the media availability talk about the fact that since they've been using the same car since 2012, they already have what they really need to go out there and have a qualifying setup and know what the going to have. But for teams like Rahal, Lerman, and Lanigan, who have had such a dramatic change over the course of the last 12 months in preparation for this event alone, they need track time to go out there and get those quali sims out so they know what they have. Sure, they say they have the 4 cars that they need, but you need to have all 4 cars in a comfortable spot to where they can go out there and not be in a position where you're in the last row shootout like you have been in the past few years. So with this, with what's going to happen, especially come Thursday, we're going to see cars just flying out of the pits to try and get as much on-track action as they can to set up for race setups. Rahal, Lerman, and Lanigan's are really going to be in a troublesome spot trying to get clean air for some qualifying sims in the next coming days. Yeah, because now you're going to run into this issue where there's 2 different mentalities going on at the same time. You have half of the garage area focusing on race prep, i.e. Chip Ganassi Racing and those folks, and then you have other people that are in danger of not making the show. I mean, we're talking, you know, the Rahal squad, if we look to last year, again, we don't know what they have in store this year yet. Possibly Dreyer and Reinbold, those guys, you know, they are going to... They could be focusing on trying to do quali sims and trying to get that 4-lap speed without a tow. So it's going to become a very tumultuous situation for the teams on the 2 different agendas going on. And looking into the practice times, really, this was a 20-minute session. If anything, it was all install laps. You didn't really see too much running taking place. But just to give you an idea of what we saw so far today, number 1 on the practice, we're going to show you the top 10 tows of overall speeds that we saw today. Number 1, Scott Dixon at 229.107. Marco Andretti is going to round up second with a 228.399. Takuma Sato, who said he was trying a qualifying sim, he rounds out third at a 225.551. Pato Award in 4th with a 224.993, and Christian Lundgaard rounds out 5th with a 223.844. So, Death taxes Chip Ganassi's fast at the oval. Okay, to put down a 229, because keep in mind, today, Wednesday, and Thursday, they are running on race boost. We're going to see the similar speeds to what they should be expecting on race day. The fact that that Scott Dixon went out there and ran a 229, of course the conditions were really ideal for a turbocharged car, heavy, cool air just being shoveled into the car, but a 229 on the first 20 minutes of practice is incredible, because it wasn't too long ago that we were seeing 231, 232 pull speeds with the same kind of setup, but with the addition of the boost. So Chip Ganassi's fast. And running up in 6th is going to be the 4-time champion of the Indianapolis 500, Helio Castroneves, at 223.669. Colton Herta rounds out 7th at a 223.084. Felix Rosenquist is going to be in 8th. Kyle Kirkwood in 9th, and Sting Ray Robb rounds out your top 10 for the on-track overall speeds. And as for the no-tow speeds, only 3 cars were tracked with a no-tow speed. Scott McLaughlin was the fastest. I think he only ran at 219, so I mean, you can't even bother to begin to take that into account, because that was basically, I would assume, just kind of a warm-up lap just to get the car ready. Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about the first day of practice, it's usually a little bit messy because you're trying to get the cars up and going. Some of these engines, like with the Dreyer and Reinbold cars, haven't fired in a month. So, you know, usually we see a little bit of fire and smoke in the pit lane, you know, some of the dramatics. So, you know, first day, really, you never can take into account of anything. It's kind of setting baselines for the rest of the week, and then you really start to see the teams and the engineers dig their teeth into whatever programs they're trying to run on Wednesday. But now, Wednesday's under threat of being rained out, so... Absolutely, and then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, we do have some interviews from the media availability session IndyCar hosted over in the F1 garages. We'll hear from some of the drivers here in a sec, but first, let's hear from our sponsor, Peak.
Protect your vehicle with Peak Original Equipment Technology. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle.
All right, opening day here at the Indianapolis 500. It's a tad bit wet outside. Tell us how your opening morning's gone so far.
It was all right. We did about 4 or 5 laps out there, which I felt pretty good about, and little things here and there we need to keep working on and button up on the race car. But once the rain started, we knew we had time to work on those things. So that's the program for the rest of the day, and probably tomorrow, it looks like, at least for part of the day. So we'll get out there, work on some race trim running, and hopefully have a fast car.
You've had a little bit of a struggling start to the season. Now you're coming into Indianapolis. This is a track where last year, that car specifically as well as the 14, was oh so fast throughout the entire month. How much of an optimistic start is it for you guys coming into this, that you guys have so much speed carried from last year that you're going to improve this year, especially with the Penske deal that you got going on?
Yeah, we're very optimistic. I think that it has been a rough start to the year, but really it's two separate seasons. You got the Indy 500 and then you got the rest of the IndyCar season, it seems like. So I think it could be a momentum builder for the rest of the year if we do well here, and I think that we will. I think that we have a really good car, got a good crew around me. Santino's been really good around here, so I got a lot to learn from him, and hopefully we can roll off strong.
We've seen that Santino's had more of this kind of elbows that mentality. Have you tried to adopt that at all throughout these last few races that he started doing that?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's crossing the line every once in a while, but it's fun to watch. I mean, I'm enjoying watching it, and so I'm cheering him on. He's done well so far this year. We've struggled with mechanical failures, it seems like, throughout the season, and that's really plagued both cars, and so it's unfortunate to see, but I think that he's fighting to kind of prove what the team's capable of doing at the moment, and that's run at the front. So we're going to keep working on that. Hopefully, like I said, use this month to build momentum. And
then last year you were Dale Coyne Racing with Rick Ware Racing. Now you move over to AJ Fort Racing. That's currently in the middle of this kind of culture change with trying to move themselves up to the grid. What has that change been like going from a team like Dale Coyne Racing over to AJ Fort Racing that's doing this kind of different outlook on what they want to do with the season?
Yeah, it's actually been really nice. I think that, like you said, there's been culture shifts during the off-season, especially just with new guys coming into the team. And a lot of experience, too. When I say new guys, they're not new to IndyCar racing. They got Indy 500 wins under their belts. They got pole positions under their belts. And they know what they're doing. And so I think it's been good to kind of have that kind of cross-pollinate with the Penske Alliance as well. And, I think it's still a very small team like Dale Coyne Racing. We're still working with few guys, few resources, but we're fighting above our weight class, I think, and we're going to continue to grow in that direction.
And obviously with that culture change, you guys are going to want more track time to get used to what you guys are wanting to build come race day. With the outlook of what we have right now, where it's downpouring outside and the weather just says it's going to keep raining throughout the week, how much is it going to matter when you do have that possible 1 day of clear track time? Like, how aggressive are you guys going to be to want to go out there and get as many laps as you need?
I think you have to be super aggressive anytime you get on the track, just for the limited track time. I mean, you're also limited on what you can do back at the garage as well, right? So this whole sitting and waiting thing, it's going to limit what we're able to do when it comes to making changes, because sometimes you got to roll back to the setup pad and make a pretty drastic change just to try something. So hopefully we're able to roll off strong, and I think that we have a really strong car based off last year, and we got the basics figured out. So it's just going to be able to see if we're able to figure out this tire. I mean, it changes every little bit every year in conditions. So I think fine-tuning is the name of the game here, and I think we're in the window.
And obviously as well, coming into it, you're seeing these cool track temperatures where you're kind of in the low 70s right now going into practice, but when you go into qualifying, it's looking to jump into about the mid 80s. How much are you going to have to repair as you get ready for the differing track temps, going from this kind of cool, high grip kind of track to where you're going to be going to a hot, slick track come qualifying weekend, especially with the low downforce and boost?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been kind of the same deal every year, it seems like. We get this cool early May in Indianapolis temperatures, and then we roll into qualifying weekend. It's a completely different racetrack. So I think it'll just be take it as we go, try and build our toolbox out ahead of time. That way we know which direction we can go early and anticipate it. And I think the team's done a good job of understanding what we need from the car and which direction we need to go and at least try things for the race day.
Okay, so we keep running into each other. I think I got to start it off with getting the obvious out of the way. I talked to you Saturday morning. You said it was not going to happen again. You didn't even wait till the end of the first lap to make it happen again. So coming into this race with the beef that's already brewing with what's happened with Roman Grosjean, how has that translated over into practice? Have you guys talked at all since the Saturday GP? Have you talked with Max Papps again? What has been the situation with that?
No, it's resolved. I mean, also you pass it around the outside. It doesn't matter who you are. You're going to get put off the track. I mean, just part of the racing sport, so it didn't make a difference to me. But no, it's we're on a speedway now. I mean, I'm sorry, but if he's going to do something dumb on the speedway, then he's got more than Pappas to deal with. But yeah, like I said, I don't expect any of that from here. I mean, drivers are hopefully smart enough and have enough respect at going 240 miles an hour to, go by the old rules and old adages. So.
And then also, I don't think there's any confirmation on what it was that took you out of the race back on Saturday. Do you mind telling us what that might have been?
Yeah, it was a couple of things, but the main thing was the brake bias knob had broke on the grid, and we were already rearwards with the bias, and every lap it was going further and further back. So by the time we retired the car, it was about 52% where it needed to be 61. Rear calipers were way over temperature, and we were worried about blowing a seal. And if we blew a seal, we would have lost all rear brakes, and whoever was in front would have been unfortunate carnage. So we just decided it was the safest bet to retire the car. And like I said, it's unfortunate. It killed our balance too, because when you have the bias FR rearwards, you can't brake nearly as late, can't roll speeds in corners. Rear tires are always hot, so it was an unfortunate day from the start.
And with that, I believe it dropped you down 7 points in the championship from 7th to, I believe, about 15th. Now you're coming to Indianapolis. This is a double points-paying event. This is a track that you've done really good at. How do you really balance that elbows-out aggression mentality, and then what you talked about, trying to be aggressive while running 240 miles an hour, not sending somebody to the hospital at the start of the race?
Well, I mean, if you watched how I raced last year, there's an art to it, and there's a way of being aggressive and being smart. But, yeah, no, it's... Said I'll run my own race. Probably won't see any of those cars anyway this month, so not really a thought for me. And said I'd be working with Team Penske and making sure all of our cars are up front and fast, and hopefully it's me versus 3 other cars. So we'll see.
And last year as well, one of the things I pointed out, I think that was one of your, I want to say calmest races, not so much of the thing of like reckless. It was more so. It was what I saw back when Michael Campbell was with Scott Dixon. It's very much thought out, very much more or less going straight for the lead, staying in the back, getting your fuel numbers where you needed to, and then attacking there at the end. How much of that helped you in that race, and how much of that is being translated with this year with what Michael Cannon's done, of course, as well with the speed difference that you're getting with the Penske shock and damper setup?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you still got to drive the car around here. I'd love to say, obviously, having the car helps, but I've been here in, 4 different cars or 4 different cars and 3 different cars, and still been in the top 10 with all of them. So, there's still definitely a driver aspect to this race, and it is nice to have that information. It's nice to have those people. It's nice to have the car to be more comfortable as a driver. But yeah, there's still a lot of little things that need to go on, and a lot of listening to be done. So that's what we'll do.
One of the things I've always been interested as well, you come from more like the go-kart, like road racing background. What is it about IMS and these high-speed ovals that speak to you so well and allows you to have these great results that you've had since you came here in 2019?
Man, I just have massive respect for this place, and I really like to listen in on the engineers, listen to the spotters. They see a lot more than we do. We're just, like I said, all we're there to do is put the right foot down and turn left, and we're really relying on everybody around you to help you make the most informed and smart decisions, and that's what you got to do. You got to trust your people, and I've always trusted my people.
And you talk about trusting in the engineers. I remember one bit back when you first signed with Foy, one of the deal breakers I ever heard was that you wanted to make sure Michael was on your box when you came over here. How much of a confidence booster is that to be reunited with the guy that helped you back in 2019 when you first came into the sport, now having him back on the box and being able to go out there and be one of the best running cars of the entire field?
It's definitely pretty cool. So look forward to having him back on the box again this year. And like I said, he floats between the cars. But hopefully, primarily, he'll be back on our stand with Larry and James and Adam and our whole engineering staff. So it'll be good.
You talked about the amount of respect you have. Does that kind of result? We've seen a lot of the times when you get out of the car, the emotion that bleeds out of you, sitting on the pit wall, thinking about how close you came. Just what is it about this event that resonates so well with you, that gets you to the emotions that you have after these races?
I think that last year was impressive, but just because. Dude, you win the 500 with any other team, okay, cool, you won the 500, you're in the history books. You win the 500 in the 14, that's a different type of history, my friend. So that's why it was such a heartbreaking third, but at the end of the day, such an amazing result. So I really, really want to win it in this 14 car. It'd mean the world.
And how much of a motivating factor is it to be able to run that 14 car here? I mean, you think of the names, not just AJ Foy, but guys like Takuma Sato and Tony Kanaan that have raced here, but yet to win in that car, and now you are one of the best drivers out of the shot, to bring that guy back into victory lane the first time since 1999 with Kenny Brack. That was, I believe 3 days after I was born. It's been a while since that 14 car. How much of a motivating factor is it to want to put AJ back in victory lane in Indianapolis?
Trust me, I want to be one of the few drivers that's done it. I wouldn't stand next to AJ and Kenny Brack is the only winners in that 14, so that is the goal, and that's the fire inside the drive.
And then the last thing I'll ask you, I talked about it with Sting Ray Robb, with the weather conditions that you have this week, with only 1 week of practice, and the forecast that we've had, it's raining right now, it's looking to rain throughout the entire rest of the week. You're going to maybe have one day where it's not going to be downpouring on the racetrack. How important is it going to be able to go out there and get those laps, and how aggressive you guys are going to be to get that car through tech and get in the pit so you can go run laps?
Oh man, honestly, it's fine that it rains. I think the car's going to be okay. We're just going to have so many tires, man. We have no idea. We're going to have to throw tire parties. We have no idea what to do with all the tires we got. So we have carryover sets from the open test into here. I mean, every time we go out, it's going to be stickers on this thing. It's going to be awesome.
Maybe you could turn the pond over in the golf course into a lazy river. All right, man. Well, good luck this week. Hopefully we see you later on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, Helio, opening day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What's it like to be back in fire suit running at the Indianapolis 500 again?
As you can see, ready to go, but the rain does not allow us to keep doing a little more laps. But great to be out there, great to be at the track, anxious to keep it going.
And obviously with the weather conditions you guys are going to have going into this, you're not going to have, I believe, as much track time as you would have in the past. I think you're going to have similar conditions maybe 2008, but now with this kind of 1 week format, how important is it going to be for you guys to go out there and get track time as you get ready for qualifying, knowing that you're going to need to get as many laps as you can, but you just don't have the time to do it?
Every time you lose a day or a time on the track, you extend the days to work on the race car, you minimize the time to focus on qualifying. Again, Friday, that's the day that we're going to be changing the engine boost, so you're going to have to be focused in qualifying. But as of right now, the main focus is the race car.
And with that being said as well, with Friday, you're not going to really have as much track time because there's already rain looking for Friday, with the fact that you're wanting to focus on that race setup, but also going to need to focus on your low downforce, going for that high boost setup. What are the challenges going to be like, especially considering that you're probably going to have that one day to just get both done at the same time?
Yeah, it depends of tomorrow. Hopefully when we feel that the car is mega, then I can start tweaking a little bit more for the qualifying. But as of right now, yeah, we got to keep it going. Hopefully the track will be able to extend some of the times in the morning so that we can recoup what the days we lost today.
And with this move that you made kind of into this ownership role within Meyer Shank Racing, you've kind of taken on this mentor leadership role for Tom Blomqvist and Felix Rosenqvist. What's it been like trying to transition to that, trying to give those guys, especially Tom, the advice that he needs going into this, considering this is nothing that he's ever done in his life. The closest he's guy is running in traffic at the Daytona 24. What's it been like trying to give him the advice that he needs to even give him the idea of what he's going to experience come those practice days, especially race day?
Look, the good news is he's already have a little bit of experience in IndyCar already after 5 races. So I'll be honest, he'll be very, very comfortable, very, very fine. Right now we're all anxious, even myself that been here for so many years. It's always had the excitement to be at the track. And we just got to take the time. That's what I'm telling him, to build up you're confident and keep it going. Once you nail in, it'll be perfect.
One of the things I've been interested in, when you came here for the month of May, you unloaded, you had the Mike's Hard Lemonade sponsorship, which was kind of, I don't want to say a shock, but a welcome surprise seeing that on the car. How was that deal put together to get that on the car? Because there's already a billboard on Crawfordsville next to the Speedway outlet malls that have the big Mike's Hard on the billboards. What is that deal came about?
Yeah, big credit to the department, the commercial department of Meyer Shank Racing. I was surprised at the last minute to be able to do it, but also in connection with the Sirius XM, they were able to really connect, which I felt that was pretty smart and clever, able to connect and make that deal happen. So again, sponsorship, business to business, it turned out to be a great deal for everyone.
And has it been easier as well, considering the fact that you're in this kind of your own elite class of going after that 5-time win for the 500? Is that kind of as well be kind of a big selling point to sponsors and trying to get them on your car? Because you had Penn Station for the last couple of years, and now you got this going on as well.
Well, obviously, we're in a very unique situation. Nobody being this, obviously we're super happy to be in this situation as well, in this environment, and I couldn't ask for a better way. So yes, we got to take advantage. We got to make it happen, because when it happens, whoever's going to be in our billboard or our car is going to benefit from that.
And one of the things I've been interested in as well, you came here for so long trying to get that 4th win. You finally achieved it. Now you're going for the 5th win. Were you kind of relieved to get the 4th win and with the pressure, or is it just kind of transition now to wanting to get the questions of, oh, now when's the 5th one coming in rather than when's the 4th one coming?
I wasn't relieved. I was sure that it's going to happen. However, it just went. And with so many situations, we finished second 3 times after that, so before that. But it makes just when is going to happen. You just got to keep pushing, and I don't doubt that the 5th is it's right there as well. So I can't wait to things happen.
Has the pressure kind of eased at all with that, or is it just kind of like you've adopted and learned to live with it when you come to this place at this point?
There's no pressure. Actually, to be honest, Indianapolis brings the best out of you, and that's why I love it.
And get the last question. You've been running the 2021 chassis. I believe you're in a new chassis coming into this race. Does it kind of feel like emptying, not having that car, knowing this is the car I've done so well in already? Why would you take away something that already works?
Well, do you still use your iPhone when it started? Right? No. So you gotta move on. You gotta actually update your computer, update your equipment to make it better and to make it fast.
All right, first day of May, you quite literally got your feet wet here today. What are your early feelings on the track so far as you got your first laps out there? And I think actually, if I'm correct, you didn't get too many out there, am I correct?
No, it was a good feeling. Needless to say, it was a fantastic condition. Cooler condition, a lot of heavy air, so you have a mild downforce, and obviously cars are fresh, and I've done qualifying simulation as well, so it naturally should be feeling better. But not only for that, jump back in the car, something familiar with, there's a lot of familiar faces and new faces, and going back to the Ray Hall, that's a really happy moment.
And you talked about going back to Ray Hall. The last time you were with this team, you got to win this race for the second time. What's it been like getting back with the team, and kind of can you grade them so far as where they were for 2020 as where they are now, or is it kind of in this rebuilding process to get themselves back up to that level where you were at?
Sure, that's kind of a mixture of things. The one side is it's great to have you achieved such an historical moment with this team. So, tick the box already, you've done it. But at the same time, obviously the team had a challenging year last year. So Bobby kept calling me, Taku, when are you going to come back? When are you going to come back? So obviously I have to respond that somebody who really wants me, I wanted to work with that. And entire group of the engineering, how hard they work over the course of the winter. I know everybody works really hard, but I think Ray Hall is probably one of the hardest they're putting because of last year's situation. So you just wanted to reflect what I could do with the team, and that's a matter of what the team has boys done a job over the course of the winter. That's I want to be happy with them. So that's why I think it's so important to get it right and come back with this team and do the solid job through the practice, see what happened to the qualifying and race.
You talk about that as well, and Graham talked about back at the Open Test, kind of looking to you for kind of, I guess, a mentor, leadership role for advice on how to come into this. What kind of advice have you given that team, and what kind of input have they taken from that into changing what they need to come here as a better team than what they were last year?
For sure, they eager to wanted to ask me what's a journey over the last 2 seasons, for me. And I think advice is a bit strange or strong word, for it. But I work with them and sharing lots of information, sharing what I feel, what I thought, and what I'm thinking of this current Ray Hall cars. And so that's at least it's a direction of be everybody thinking, or is it different? This is very important to correlate what I want to and what the team wants to. And obviously we have such a limited resource, we can use. But 4 cars, great teammate, particularly for the Graham and I had a long-term relationship. We can trust each other, and I know what he likes and what he drives too. So vice versa. I think for him too, that having me back here, somewhat he feels like a little bit more comfortable to work in direction. So that's hopefully that kind of a chemical effect or the feeling is a transfer to performance.
One of the things I'm interested in as well, with where your guys' position was wanting to get that qualifying set up and to compare yourself to where you were back in 2023. With the conditions are the way they are, and the fact that you may get that only one day of clean on-track action. I talked with Helio too, and he talked about he's more focused on getting his race set up. Where does Ray Hall Lanigan stand with trying to gauge their track time and getting out there and getting the runs they need? Are you guys going to be more focused on just focusing straight on race setup like you have in the past, or are you guys going to go out there and do more quali sims than you would have in the past?
We should concentrating on the race performance. However, we cannot. The things that strike us is because Ray Hall was lacking speed so much last year, we really needed to see our improvement and to see the speed, so that the engineer is confident. Now we can transfer some of the speed to the race car. So it's a very different approach, and so that's why I think even limited days and time, like you said before the qualify, everybody rushing to make it the car fast in the race. But I think at Ray Hall, I think we must do lots of qualify simulation, make a car fast, and then we will worry about a little bit on Monday and the curve day to sort it out for the race car.
And something that Graham talked about as well is kind of the part shortages and the challenges that they face running on a full-time operation. With you having a single-car team, running this only one event, having full focus on this exact event, what have the challenges been like for you trying to get this car prepared with the challenges you face in the parts department while trying to get this car ready to go out there and possibly win a third 500?
Sure, it's obviously far ideal, for the one single race of the year is very difficult. But given the circumstance, I think the team has got lots of resources, be able to provide a single car preparation for the 500 amongst of the other three cars, and I believe that, I trust the boys and trust my engineer and trust myself that they got some feeling, how I do it, because I've done enough of experience, I hope, particularly for the 500. I think we can drive it straight into the competitiveness if we like.
And I don't know if you can hear the music kind of. Just one thing I do want to say. The DJ for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has always been kind of on point. They've been very good at kind of setting the mood, and this is kind of on point. I hope it doesn't get copyright striked, but still. Very gloomy, sad weather to kick off the month of May, and I think it's going to set a trend for the rest of the week heading into qualifying. We're going to hopefully have some more stuff for you guys heading into the month of May. To close it off, though, we do have a bit of IMS history that we're going to play out for you guys to hear. We're going to give you some more throughout the rest of the week leading up to qualifying. So we'll close it out with that. But, of course, before we do, from everybody here at Mighty Mac, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to comment down below. And, of course, follow me on all social media pages down below. Mighty Mac 03 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of it. And until Tuesday, this has been Mighty Mac, and we will see you. See, we should have been starting on Monday. Until Wednesday, this has been Mighty Mac, and we will see you next time.
1978 would showcase one of the more intriguing moments in bump day history here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Longtime driver and entrant Jim Hurtubise would attempt to qualify his home-built roadster, the Mallard, after failing to qualify the previous 2 years. Knowing the car was not capable of making the field on speed, the USAC officials refused Hurtubise the final tech inspection sticker which would allow him to attempt to qualify. Angered over this ruling, Hurtubise would protest, saying there was nowhere in the rulebook did it state that a car must reach 180 miles per hour in an attempt to qualify. After some deliberation, Hurtubise jumped into Bob Harkey's car, which was next in the qualifying line. Jim held up the qualifying line for the next 10 minutes before being escorted out of the car. Harkey would finally attempt to qualify, but was waved off the track when Hurtubise would jump onto the active racetrack on the main straightaway, where he would be subdued by IMS security staff and the Indiana State Police and escorted away, ending the situation. The Mallard would return in 1979, 80, and 81, but wouldn't make the field, and thus the story of the last sprint engine car in the Indy 500 ends.